Hey everybody, welcome to another drive-through Let's Play style video. It's been a long time since I did one of these, and I've been wanting to get back to doing these more. So let's just jump right into this one. This is Scythe. This is from Stonemaier Games. It's just releasing right about now. Had a very successful Kickstarter project that ran last year. And the theme of this game, if you haven't been living under a rock, is sort of post-World War I East Europe. But it has a very alternate history. You can see here we have mechs in addition to the folks working the countryside there. And so these are different nation states in what's called East Europa in the case of the theme of the game. And we're trying to take over territory, get resources, build up our armies, and send out more workers. Again, we have mechs. Each player has these star markers that they can put out onto the board. You do that by upgrading a certain amount, building different buildings, winning combats, different objective cards you might get. So there's a lot of different ways to get those 6 achievement markers. And there will be some combat, some interaction with the players. I am going to play a 2-player game with I always just call them the Soviet Union, the Thru Scythe Union, and also the Saxony Empire, kind of like the Germans. So I'm going to play with those 2 factions, and I would say you're not going to see a lot of interaction. I'll try to kind of force the interaction a little bit because you've only got 2 players, but it should give you a good sense of sort of the mechanics and the nuts and bolts of the game. And I'll try to set up, some kind of combo-y types of turns, and so you can get a real sense of how the game flow actually works. So let's just jump right into it. I will post a review video, so that'll be kind of my normal types of reviews and give you my thoughts on it in addition to this. But let's jump into this and then we'll go from there. Now what you see here is the retail version. So if you go out to the store now and you haven't bought the game already, then this is what you'll get. Now each player is going to start with kind of their avatar. So the Saxony is going to have this fella here with his trusty wolf, and then out here the Soviet Union that will be this gal here with her trusty tiger. And so you have a different home kind of land that you're starting out in, and these are fixed positions based on which faction you choose. Some of these are from an expansion, and then you also will put out 2 workers. So here we got the black players workers there, and you'll have 2 workers adjacent to yourself there, and then again over here. In the center there's this kind of mystical sort of factory that players are going to try to go to. You can also have various encounters on the board. You can see here is the encounter tokens like that, and there's some other different tracks and things, but I'll mention that as we kind of play through the game. The red player is going to go first, and we know that based on this number here. Now each faction has its specific faction board with its mechs and depicting its leader, its character, which is you. And also you have these randomized player boards here, and these are going to again be random, and they will give you a different starting order as well as different information. So everybody's going to start with 2 objective cards, 2 popularity, which is very important, and then also 5 money in this case. We also can clear out the mechs here. We can also see a different special ability up here, as well as its starting power, which is 3, and then also 2 combat cards. Now if we take a look at the special ability here of the Soviet, you can see you may choose the same section on your player mat as the previous turns. So the way that the turn works is you simply take your pawn, and then you're going to select one of these 4 possible actions. Now we have 2 types of actions associated with each of these different columns. You'll be taking sort of the top action and then possibly the bottom action after that. Now typically on the first turn you'll put it wherever you want, and then future turns you have to move it to a different spot. You can't stay on the same spot, but the Soviets are able to break that rule. So we're just going to jump in, and then what they're going to do is they're actually going to go here and they're going to trade. For now I'm going to move this structure here just so we can see. So when they trade, you're always going to pay $1, so they're going to go ahead and pay that $1 to the bank, and then they can do one of 2 things. They can get 2 resources of their choice, or they can gain some popularity. Now as you do upgrades, these cubes may come off, and so you can see you could get more than 1. You could actually get 2 popularity a little bit later in the game. So for right now we're just going to get some resources, and right now we have access to the metal here, and then possibly some oil in a little bit, and then also this spot here is a village, and this is where you'll put new workers, they'll come out here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 of the other kinds of resources. So I'm going to grab some food and wood because we don't initially have access to those. And you can put these into a location with your workers. And they just live there, and then while you control that, then you control those resources. You have to take a produce action to actually get resources out of the ground. So now that I've done the top part of this action, I could, if I wanted to, pay, in this case 4 steel, to deploy a mech. But I don't have any steel currently, so I'm just going to pass that, and the turn's quickly going to move over to the second player. So as the Saxonians, we're going to go ahead and do the move. So once again, we'll move this structure here. When we do the move, you can see you can move 2 different units up to 1 space each, or I could take some gold, and again, if I unlock that, I could take more gold. So we're just right now going to move 2 different units. And what I want to do is I want to get my leader out here into one of these areas. I want to get them over to deal with one of these encounters, because when your character moves into a spot like that, there'll be an encounter. So I'll just move them up here, and then I could, if I wanted to, move one of these guys, and I think I will, just to kind of do that, but I am sort of foregoing the ability to make some oil, but now I can get more workers out here. And it's worth noting that you can't, at least immediately, cross these rivers, and I'll explain how you can do that. So players are kind of locked into their kind of 3 starting areas for the first couple rounds of the game, and then once you get what's called Riverwalk with your mechs, you can actually start to transport more troops and workers and so on across the river. And again, now at this time I could take the bottom action, which would be to pay 2 oil and then do the upgrade, which I'll explain later when I get to it, but I don't have anything to do now. Now for Red's next turn, they're going to take the produce action, so they can produce into 2 different areas with all of the workers on those areas. So here you can see I can produce a new worker on this village and also produce some steel. So the steel will come on here. Now if I had another worker on here, I could produce 2 steel, but the limit is the number of areas. And so I'll take a worker here, and then I'll put this on the village space on the board, and you can see as I start to uncover these, I will actually have to make a payment now when I take this action, either paying power, popularity, or money. As I put more and more of my population to work, it causes them a little bit more stress. And then again, you could upgrade this later on, and then actually build on produce on 3 different spots there. Now Black's going to go ahead and do the trade action. They're going to trade in 1 gold to the bank, and then we can see here they're going to produce or get 2 resources. So we're going to go ahead and just put these 2 resources right here. We're going to go both steel on that case, try to really focus on our mech production, and that's what steel is used for. Now in this case, Red is going to take the move action. So again, we can move 2 different units 1 space. So we'll move 1 worker out to here, and then we'll move our main character out here again to get closer to the encounter. Now the Black player is going to go here. They're going to do produce. So we'll get a worker out here, and then we'll also get another steel out here. Now Red's also going to produce, again on 2 separate sectors. So we'll get oil and steel back out here. Now Black will go ahead and they're going to move. So we're going to take one of these workers, send them back down here. So now we're back on oil production. Then we're going to take our character, move them here. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take this off, discard it, and then you're going to draw an encounter card. So here we're going to draw the top card of the encounter deck, and then we're going to take a look at it. And there's a cool kind of thing about this. It doesn't really give you any thematic or flavor text. It just gives you this amazing, usually painting of a scene. And then it'll give you the idea here. So it says tamper with draft documents to keep the family together, deliver conscription papers and payment, strong arm the family, and take over their farm. So you've basically encountered here this family, and this is how you're actually going to treat them. So there's a few things you can do. So you can choose one of these. So it's kind of like a morality choice. So you can gain $2 in a popularity. You can pay $3 to enlist 1 recruit. You can pay 2 popularity to gain a worker and 3 food. So not because I'm a jerk, but because I want to show you the enlist action, we're going to pay $3, and then we're going to be able to enlist 1 as a recruit. And what the enlist action does is you take one of these 4 recruits down here, and you'll take it off, and then you'll put it up here. So we kind of get to do that for free. So I'm going to take this one off because this will allow us to build up power every time we upgrade, which I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to take this off, and then you'll put it up here on your player board, and you just get that one-time benefit. So we could get 2 power, 2 popularity, 2 combat cards, or 2 money. I'm going to go ahead and just mark the 2 popularity. And so we're going to move up 2 on the popularity track here. And what this track is sort of a multiplier at the end of the game. So you're going to get points for all of the money that you have at the end of the game, plus this kind of multiplier. So the higher popularity is, the more extra money you're going to get for having stars on the board, territories you control, and resources. So these, even if you have a ton of all of these things down here at the bottom, you're not going to get a lot if you're not very popular. So you definitely don't want to lose track of focusing and getting that up the track. And again, if you get it to the top, you also get a chance to put a star on the board. So the red player is going to go here. They're going to again trade, pay $1 and get 2 resources. So we're going to pay that $1. In this case, I'm going to use 2 steel, but now I have a total of 4 steel. So I'm going to use that right now. So we just took the top action. Now we can look down here at the bottom. Now we can use that 4 steel we have to immediately deploy a mech. So I did the top action, now the bottom action, even using resources I just received. So I'm going to take and I'm going to deploy a mech. Now you can see as I deploy these, you're going to uncover special abilities, and each faction has different ones. So I'm going to uncover the Riverwalk special ability. And if you notice, each faction has its own special Riverwalk. So the Rusviets, again, you can go from farm to the villages there. So if we look here on the board, we can see there's the farm and there's the village. So I'm going to go ahead and put him here. And now we sort of unlocked this sort of bridge, if you will, out into the rest of the world. The black player is going to go back to production. They're going to produce on 2 separate spaces. And we'll go ahead and do steel here and then also oil on here. Now we're going to go here. We're also going to do the move action now with red. So we're going to move 2 units. And we're going to go ahead and move our character across this spot here. And we're going to move the mech. Now the mech can carry these workers with it. So that was our 2 move actions. Now the mechs can carry any number of workers as well as any number of resources as well with it. If I wanted to, I could have moved the mech and then moved the worker, because that would have been 1 and then 2. But I want also to get my main character up here. Now the black player moving back here, they're actually going to take the bolster action. Now that isn't really their main goal, but let's look at it. You're going to go ahead and pay $1, and then you can either get 2 power or you can get another combat card. I'm going to go ahead and take the power, so I'll pay the $1, and then I'll take 2 power here because I did start off a little bit lower than red. But what I was really after was deploying a mech. I've noticed that the red player has now unlocked their bridge, and I would like to do the same. You can also see here that building a mech has a little bit more interesting of a benefit for this particular player. So I'm going to pay the 4 steel, and I'm going to deploy a mech and get 3 gold. So here's the 4 steel that I've been accruing over the course of the game. Then I'm going to deploy my mech, and this is the similar mech that has Riverwalk, but you can see in the case of the Saxony here, I can go from wood to steel there, and you can see here, here's the steel, and then up here is the wood, so we can start going across that there. And you can see I get a little bit of a bonus here for the mech, so I get the 3 coins. Now the red player is going to make use of their special ability, which is to use the same actions. They're going to move 2 characters or units. So I'm going to go ahead and move this mech down here, and I'm going to move the character back to here. So he's going to have this encounter. We'll go ahead and see the encounter. So we'll flip over the top card here and we'll take a look here. So we have some advice to fix a broken pulley and at a defunct mine. So we found a defunct mine. We can haggle for some cheap ore, or we can cut the pulley loose without hesitation. So what do we get? So we get $2 in a popularity. We can pay $2 for 4 metal, which is good. We can pay 2 popularity to build 1 structure. So we can kind of take over this outpost here. We're going to lose some popularity. I'm going to go ahead and do that just for fun. So we're going to pay 2 popularity, which is going to put us down at 0 popularity. So I'll have to do something about that. Now we can put a structure out for free. Now normally you've got to take this action, this build action here, and put a structure out. But you've got 4 structures. You've got a windmill, an armory, a monument, and a mine here that we can put out. Now these are going to help you gain things. So let's say we built this armory here. Every time we did the trade, we would gain some power. Every time we did the bolster and we had the monument, we'd gain some popularity. That might not be a bad idea. Every time we did the move, you'd have this ability. So this allows you to go from tunnels to your mine. I'll explain tunnels more in a minute. So I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to go ahead and build this. So I sacrifice some initial popularity to build this, but every time I do the bolster, I'll also get popularity on top of that, which can be useful because sometimes combat will actually decrease your popularity. So we'll go ahead and build a monument to our destruction here. So the black player is going to go here. We're going to do the trade action to pay $1 and then take, in this case, 2 oil, which is going to set us up for our next turn. So the red player is going to jump back over here. They're actually going to do some production. And in this case, we're going to do oil and steel in each of these territories there. Now the black player is going to take the move action. So again, they can move 2 units, and then we'll be able to take the bottom action and actually do an upgrade. So in this case, we'll take the mech, we'll carry that worker with us. We'll move the character over to this spot here. And then we're going to spend our 2 oil. So we can see spend our 2 oil, we can take an upgrade. And that's simply, again, taking one of these cubes that's masking some ability on the top and moving it down. So making something better and also making something cheaper. So we'll go ahead and make production a little bit better. So now we can produce in 3 different spaces. And for fun, we're gonna make our mechs a little bit cheaper. So that is production. And you can also see we do get a coin whenever we do that. So red's going to again abuse his power, and we're going to take the same action again. We're going to produce. As you can see here again, we have the worker on the oil and then also the worker on the food up here. So we're going to get some food, we're going to get this oil, and we're immediately going to spend that oil. This is actually going to cost us 3 oil though. You can see our upgrade cost is a little bit more expensive, but we get a little better of a benefit out of it. So we get to spend the 3 oil. I'll go ahead and grab the 2 coins so don't forget. And then we're going to go ahead and do an upgrade. And in our case, we're actually going to upgrade our move. So we can move up to 3 different units there. And then we're going to make cheaper here the actual construction in this case. So normally when we do the build action, it would cost us 3 wood, but now it's only going to cost us 2. And you can see you get a good amount of money when you do the construction with this particular faction mat. So black's going to go back over here. We're going to do the produce action. And now we can do 3 different spots. So we'll go ahead and produce some oil here. We'll put a new worker here and then also do some wood. So we'll put the worker there. And you can see now we have uncovered a payment. So every time we do this action now to produce, we're actually going to cost us a power. And power comes into play during combat. So you got to be careful you don't overextend too much into your economy versus your military, so to speak. Now the red player is also going to use their newfound upgraded ability. They're going to move 3 of their units. And so what we're going to do is we have to move up, let's see, we'll move this guy up here and we'll move this mech down through the tunnel. So you can see the 2 tunnels you can get to. And then we'll go ahead and move our character up here. And so now we have a unit controlling this village, and then also this village up here. And this fulfills one of our 2 objective cards. So we'll flip this over. And it says population advantage. Take a closer look at this here. This says control at least 3 village territories at the end of your turn, which we do. So we're going to go ahead and just discard this and the other one because you only ever complete one of those. Then we'll go ahead and mark this spot here on the track. So this is the objective card spot. And you can see there the sort of the requirements for all the different objectives. So if you've done 6 upgrades or built all 4 mechs or built all 4 structures or completed an objective and so on, you mark it. And so red got their first star. So the black player is going to go here. They're going to take the trade action. Again, this is where you pay $1 and you get 2 resources. And we'll go ahead and get a steel, throw that out here. And we'll go ahead and throw a wood up here, just for fun. Now red's going to come back here. They're going to produce again on 2 different territories. And we'll go ahead and produce oil down here and then also food up here. Black is actually going to go ahead and do a production. Again, this is going to cost them a power, but we can produce in 3 different areas. So we're going to drop down on the power track here, and we'll go ahead and put a wood up here, a steel here, and then a 4th oil there. We should do something with that oil. So red now is going to do the move action. So we're going to go ahead and move this mech back up to here to this tunnel. We're going to move our main character down here, and then we're going to go ahead and move this worker down here with this mech. And then we're going to be able to take these 3 foods here, and we're going to spend them to do the enlist action, which is also going to generate some money for us. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this off of here, so when we do deploy, we actually do get a little bit of money. And we'll go ahead and mark it here on the popularity, because if you remember, red did drop to 0, so they're going to move up 2. So we're going to go here with the black player. We're going to pay $1. We're going to get 2 free resources. We're going to grab another steel, so that's going to give us a total of 3 steel there. And then also another wood, which are immediately going to spend that wood there. And that's going to allow us to build a structure. So we're going to go ahead and build a mill. And a mill acts kind of just like a worker. So we're going to actually put a mill here on the steel spot so that we've always got somebody here producing steel. So red's going to come back over here. They're going to do produce. They can produce in 2 spaces. We're going to once again do oil, and then we're also going to do wood up here. Now it's time for black to get a second mech out. So we're going to go here, we're going to pay $1. We're going to bolster, which means we're going to get 2 power. So we'll jump up here on the power. So we'll take 3 steel off of the board here. We'll get the 3 money from doing the deploy, and we'll also get to put a mech on the board. However, there's one thing to note here. Because the red player did the enlistment here with the deploy, that means when a player to the left or right, in this case we're playing a 2-player game, when one of those players takes that action, they get a free $1. So we'll go ahead and take the $1 here, and then we're going to give it to the red player. So you got to be mindful of that, especially in a multiplayer game, who's sitting to your left or right. And then we can go ahead and put out another mech. Now there's a few different special abilities here. I'm just going to go ahead and do speed, and this is going to give us +1 hex per movement. So we'll go ahead and just put that mech right here. Maybe wants to carry those workers with him. And the red player is going to jump over here. They're going to take the bolster action. They're going to pay the $1 they just got thanks to the black player doing their deploy. And they're going to jump up 2 power. Jump up 2 power up to 5. And remember, they also get the gain in popularity. So bump up popularity there. And we're going to be able to pay 2 wood since we made it cheaper to build. So I've got the 2 wood from my board. I'm going to take those off, and then I'm going to get $3, plus I get to build a new structure. So here's the $3. And which structure should I build? So I could do the windmill like the black player did. I could do the armory, or I could also build a mine. I think I'm also going to do the windmill here. So I'll take this windmill off the board. Then I'll put it here where I have a worker. So this now will produce wood with me, so possibly that worker can go find a job somewhere else. Now it's probably worth noting at this point what the structure bonus is, because you do get this at the end of the game. This particular one that I drew allows you to get X number of points based on sort of the contiguous line of structures. So you can see the black player here, they just have a structure here. The red player has one there and then one there. So they probably want to get a structure there in between them so they can get up there to have 3, so they get 6 points at the end of the game. There's a variety of these. You deal 1 at the beginning of the game. You want structures adjacent to certain types of terrain and so on. So this one is just a contiguous line. So black's going to go over here. They're going to produce again. So remember, it's going to cost them a power. So they'll drop down to 3. So we can produce here with the windmill. We can produce another worker there, and then I'll go ahead and produce a wood up here. And then we'll go ahead and put a worker right there. Getting ready to travel. Or that's my mistake. We have to produce in 3 spots. So we get the oil, the steel, the village, plus the brown one because we had the windmill. The red player is also going to take advantage of their windmill. So again, we get to do the windmill territory for free, but we also have a worker there, so we'll actually generate 2 wood there. We'll get another worker out here, so the red will have to actually pay a power next time. And then we also put out another oil here for this worker. And we're also going to go ahead and spend that 3 oil to do the upgrade action, which is going to give us the $2. But remember, the black player also has the enlist action available for their upgrade. So black's now going to move up. They're going to go from 3 to 4 power, again, because they have their enlist action there. And red's going to upgrade, even kind of doubling down here on this bolster action. So they're going to take this here, put that down there, so that when they can only build, they only need 1 wood, and they can get a whole bunch of power whenever they do the bolster. So that'll kind of work well together. Now black's going to go traveling. You can see they can move 2 separate units. And remember, they have +1 hex movement. So this player here, he's going to gather up all of these workers. So 1, 2, he's going to end up here. So he's going to pull his 3 workers with him. And then this guy's going to move 1, 2, so he's going to be right next to the factory. Now you're trying to get your character into the factory, but you can control it in the meantime. Now they are also all going to be able to take this upgrade action. They've got a massive amount of oil they've been holding on to. So they pay the 2 oil. They're going to go ahead and get the dollar here, and then also again get for themselves the power. So now we're back up to 5 power, and we'll go ahead and just upgrade the move action and then also make mechs a little bit cheaper. So again, red is going to take the move action. They can move up to 3 of their units there. So what we're going to do is we are going to have the mech here take and pick up and move this worker over here. We're going to move the character there, so that's 2 of our movements, and then we're going to move 1 worker back over to this side here. Now black's going to go over here. They're going to produce. They can produce in 3 areas plus the mill area. It's going to cost them a power, and they're going to produce all kinds of goodies. So in the mill here, we just have the mill. That's some steel. Down here, we're going to produce an oil. Here, we're actually going to produce 3 wood, which is handy because they don't have much wood right now. And then up here, we're going to produce another oil for this one. So it's 3 areas plus the mill. So red is going to go here to bolster. They're going to pay $1. They're going to get 3 power. They're going to get a popularity. Red gets 3 power, 1, 2, 3. They're going to move back up here to be tied with black. And they do have a wood to pay to take this bottom action here to build. So we'll get our 3 coins there, and then we'll be able to build a structure. And what we'll do now is we're actually going to build an armory. And this will give us extra power whenever we do trade. Now the reason I moved on the turn before is because you can see now I've not got a worker, and you have to have a worker there to be able to build a structure. And now I've got my chain of structures there. So if the game were to end now, I would be getting 6 extra points there. So black's going to jump back over here to movement. They can move up to 3 different units there, and also be able to spend a little bit of oil. So if you remember, we have a +1 movement hex. I'm going to go ahead and move this guy up here. He's going to be in the factory there, so because I'm trying to prevent the other player from getting in there. And then I'm going to take and move this fella here. He's going to move these guys over here like that. So now we have 2 farmers there, so that's 2 movements. And then the character himself, which is down here, he's going to jump up 2 spots, boom, boom, like so. Start to come out to greet the other player. And like I said, I can use the oil here to do the upgrade on the bottom. And we'll go ahead and just move this guy down like so. And I also will get the extra $1 there.